Hello and good afternoon. This is a test run of what I thought could become a thing. I'm going to be demonstrating my breathing that I do every morning and just do it with you. And so we'll have a few moments right now to ask questions and that sort of thing. And but I'm not going to spend more than about 5 minutes. And then any questions that don't get answered, I will absolutely respond to in an email or a comment in a written fashion. Okay. So, first thing, I get up, I go to the bathroom, and on a good day, take care of number 2, right out of the gate. What am I going to say? I'm not going to lie. That's just the way it is. And this is a big factor, and people don't talk about it for good reason. But if you're on a schedule in the morning, then it's something that, whatever. It's something I have to factor in. Whatever. I guess if you wake up early enough, you really don't have to worry about this kind of stupid shit, pardon my language. But if you can, you get up and take care of that, knock it out. I don't know why I say you. I have no idea what you do. There's no reason to believe that you're shitting immediately when you wake up in the morning, as I often do, and I have to say it's amazing. So, potty mouth. It's just actually true that our bowel movements are a really good indicator of what's going on for us. Our diet and also, of course, drinking water, which our diet is. It's not just something. I mean, it's huge what you actually put in your body. Just come to think of it as something we deserve to do, and we got to stop celebrating on ourselves. It's like we reward some accomplishment, with food, with bad food, with not even food, but really yummy tasting, and just we're addicted to yumminess. Yum, 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 I want that. And we all love that. I fucking love chocolate chip cookies with nuts. Oh my God. And I can milk and okay, that's probably enough, but I do need another drink of milk. It's like, oh, well, now I got this little watery, it's too much. I need to sop up some of that wetness, yumminess with a bit of dry cookie, just the crust a little bit. That's well. Anyway, yes, I enjoy that stuff very, very much, or at least, no, I do. And so it's not ever about denying yourself something. Do all the pleasurable things that your ethics, your values, or morals will let you do. And that's always very interesting. I don't know many people. I don't really have any. Well, people make up their own minds. So, eat healthy. I mean, like, just don't put it out of your mind as something that's like, oh, well, what else can I try? Just recognize that whatever processed foods you're eating, that's pretty much it. And sugar, but also processed, that it's not as good as actual real food that's intended to be food, not food that's intended to last a long time, or look pretty, or some other, ridiculous things. If we just stay focused on nourishment for my body, it becomes my body. What is it? How do I, and it actually is not complicated at all, because you can have, smoothies and salads and just eat just pieces of fruit, you just eat it. And it's delicious and amazing, but then you won't think it is anymore, because it's not a donut, and it's not a big piece of cake with frosting all over it, which is disgusting, which is genuinely disgusting. If you were forced to eat that every day, you would throw up, and you would be absolutely disgusted when you saw one. And so I love chocolate cake, but that's right, but it's not the answer, right? It's not the answer. None of it is, except me, right here, right now. All right. Okay, so this has been a test. What I plan to do is, I don't even want to answer questions, I don't think. I'm going to save it for later. I'm going to tune in first thing. Anybody that has any questions can just ask the questions, and I'm just going to ignore them. Like I can't see them, which I probably could, because the phone is far enough away. I can see that far away, not closer, because I'm almost 50, and that's what happens. Anyway, I'm going to be doing the breathing technique as I do in the mornings. I come out here, this is what I look at. Right now I'm looking at like a concrete corner of, but for you, I give you the nice view, you're welcome. And it doesn't matter, but I will do the breathing technique as I do every morning. I've been very good about it since I took my little excursion with the man himself. So, I'll be doing just a few big deep breaths, because this is not the whole thing. Ordinarily, this is going to take about 20 minutes, and that's going to include the ice bath. The ice bath doesn't take very long. So I'm going to do big deep breathing, breath hold. When I hold my breath, the way I recommend you view this is by actually doing it with me. But if you just like to watch me do it, I guess you could do that too. It seems strange. I don't want to know if you're doing that. Actually, it's totally fine. It's 100% fine, because you can see it. You just see how I do it. And I am not very experienced in breath work. I came into it late, and I don't apologize or actually feel bad about that. People like Gabor Mate, started doing yoga, and Bessel van der Kolk too. I don't think very late in his, in the last few years kind of thing. And ayahuasca, but that was more like 10 years ago. Anyway, we're all evolving and developing, and sometimes you see how can you not know how to breathe? I mean, I thought you were supposed to know what you're talking about. You're supposed to be some sort of professional or holistic healer, trauma therapist, and that's enough. Yes, oh, and anxiety, because I can kick the shit out of anxiety. I'm telling you what, you come to me with some stupid fear, and we will absolutely whoosh, make it disappear. So, yeah, this is what I do. and it's what I recommend to everybody. And I mean, okay, if you're pregnant, high blood pressure, blah, 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 and don't do anything unless you talk to your doctor first. I can't even believe you're watching this video without talking to your doctor first. But actually, you really should talk to your doctor if ever you have any questions about any of your stuff that you think could kill you or go drastically wrong. And that is definitely the time to go see the doctor. It's what I do. Okay. But what I do every single day is this, all right? So big, deep breaths in. Sitting in whatever position is comfortable for you. And for me, that changes as I'm focused on my breathing. I've certainly had a lot of consensus that in through the nose and into the belly is the way to go. But I also play with breathing through my mouth because of the intensity that doing so can provide. I'm going to go ahead and do a little breath hold. Alrighty. It's pretty tempting just to stay like this without talking or even moving. Like you barely even need to breathe. And so this is pretty nice right here. And and this always happens. The cold is always cold. That's kind of not true, but it can be. The cold is cold. You get in there like you start thinking of anything else, and then you get in there and you're like, yeah, no, it's cold. As soon as you forget that the cold is cold, it becomes very, very. So this is really nice. This is what happens. The experience of quiet, focus, peace, stillness. It's like feel it in my body in a way that I don't usually, and in my mind as well. My mind is just still. And so that's one round. I typically do 3. I'm not, so the way I'm gonna do this, I don't know yet, because I would really just want to do 1 round with all of you. And then jump in the ice bath, actually. So, I don't know, I can pre-record. That just might be the way to go. Maybe that's the way it's going right now, except I've just done 1 round, and that's fine. And I don't need to do more, because, but I will demonstrate what that looks like, because you just go right into it. So it's about 30 big deep breaths of whatever variation makes sense to you. And that's huge. I don't hear that discussed very much, actually, when people are doing this method, which is just, people talk about breathing a lot. They talk about breathing through your nose, they talk about breathing through your mouth, they talk about, the different techniques and things, but like very specifically for you, what is it like to take a big deep, so first of all, to get in your preferred position, whatever that may be this time, and then take a big deep breath in. Let's use the mechanics of through the nose and into the belly. So I was mostly through the nose there, but definitely some through my mouth as well. But whatever, what is comfortable for you. So first of all, if breathing in through your nose and into your belly in that way just feels great, and you feel like you're so then my next question is it, how intense is it for you? And do you think that it could be more intense? That's really the question. And so I just mean about the amount of air going into your lungs, and just how fast you suck it in. So I just did some I don't even think I need these. I think this is a joke. So I just did a nice little big deep breath through my nose mostly. So somewhat focused on the mechanics. Now I'm just gonna do some fast ones, right? So however I do it. So I do encourage you to play around with the retention breath as well. So those are the big steps. It's the big deep breaths. Again, I focus either on the mechanics, and which means it's going to be slower, or doing it really intensely, which is going to involve more mouth breathing, whereas the first one may not involve any. Then, and if I do the really intense breathing, then I didn't even do. I think that was like 12 breaths or something. It definitely wasn't 30 just now. And I think my retention was probably my hold. I don't know. It felt pretty decent there. Certainly over a minute. Too. But definitely not important. But each component has its, like, for me, I mean, I don't know. I suppose other people, I don't know what their experience is. They just do it and they don't fucking think about it so much. But for me, it's helpful and to understand, to break it down in a way that I can describe. So also, I take it, since most people are not actively doing this practice, that they have some sort of block as well. And the way that has always made sense to me to reach most people is through language. So I became a therapist. But these are the pieces. And so each one you take a look at and just mess with it, play with it, experience it. Now I don't want to talk about it anymore. Now I really just want to do it. If I can just do this with people, then well, there you go. Maybe I still find therapy, especially the anxiety and trauma sessions, to be really useful. I think that we're getting at trauma this way. I myself experienced when I did the expedition with Inner Fire, Wim Hof's people, and Wim Hof himself in Spain last month or so. I don't even know when it is anymore. It was actually incredible. And so I definitely recommend it. But for what I experienced while I was there, doing these breathing sessions led by Wim and 120 other devotees there, like just kind of being their best selves. But yeah, like none of us were thinking about, I don't know what everybody was thinking, but it didn't seem like people were focused on money or status, and like everybody was just the corniest of sayings, which I now say all the time. Just had an open heart, just ready to look at each other in the eyes and smile, and that was it for a lot. I did meet a ton of people, have really interesting conversations. Well, conversations were interesting, they amused me, but they were interesting people, and doing just, anyway. The point was that I experienced some catharsis, abreaction, if you want to have a nice one, technical one there for you, experience of this emotion coming out. And for me, I didn't have any kind of image or memory. Well, images came, none of them of anything traumatic, nothing of anything bad. But sometimes I just cry. And to be able to do that without all the extra layers, that I've always had, and I still have. I know I do. I don't know. I'm not quite floating yet. But I have experienced some really, transformational, transformations. I don't know, transformation. Catharsis is good, but I do believe it's more than that. I mean, or it's just true catharsis, where there's something in there that needed to get out, and it does, and then it's done, and that's kind of different, you know. And then it's like, then maybe something else, you know, definitely something else, whatever that may be. And it's just this experience over and over. So, and so this is what has happened with my pain. I used to have a lot of fear. I mean, I was just afraid all the time. And I didn't understand it, really. It just stopped me. I just couldn't do all kinds of things, you know, anything social when I was young. And then that changed. And then something else happened. And then that changed. And then something else happened. And so, you know, the latest has been this experience of, you know, the physical catharsis as a result of the Wim Hof breathing and community, just being there and doing that and just having this outpouring. And it wasn't anything about the group in particular other than, like I said, they were people who were just in that mindset and ready. And these are people that were, I think, have, there's a fear that I think most people have that these do not. They're, you know, thinking they're gonna go take an ice bath I was thinking 10 minutes, that was my goal. I said, and I was all summer gearing myself up for, I'm gonna be able to take a 10-minute ice bath. Because I've been taking ice baths, but only for, my record was just under 3 minutes on Father's Day of 2022. And so, but I did know I could do it. I knew I could do it. Because Wim proved that, man. And so, first actual day of being there, 10 minutes. That's what we did. Everybody, 120 people. And, you know, whatever. I don't know, some people, I didn't get out. I honestly only got up to here. Because I'm like, this is the first day. I'm not gonna. And then the second day, 15 minutes, all the way in. I don't put my hands in. I'm still not doing that. But 15 minutes all the way to my neck. Wim is right there, one other person over. And singing and making, like, you know, Native American chants, you know, and I'm sitting there and you know, you get that, like, thought of, wow, I'm doing it. I can do this. There's becomes no question in your mind that you can do it. You're already doing it. And nothing's changing. So you're just in it and you're doing it. And you're like, okay. And then it goes by, man. And then you really have to warm yourself up. Oh my God. This was such an incredible experience. The 15 minutes I get out, I'm like, yeah, sort of. I'm more like, because nothing worked. So, Ed, who is 74 years old, sitting next to Wim over on that side, and I both getting up, supporting each other, getting out of the tub, and like, and then we go start warming up. And it took us a while. Oh yeah, it took some time. You don't just jump up and, you know, dry off and go about your day. If you do an ice bath, really for more than even a few minutes, 5 minutes too, you need to warm yourself back up. So I learned from that experience because nothing worked. And I was, you know, and there's like the business of getting yourself warmed up again, which I was not. So, and it isn't, I think your core temperature's fine, but everything is like in shutdown mode. And there's no blood, you know, very much less blood flowing there. And so now it needs to get there and to warm those parts up again. And it takes some time, especially if you're not just like jumping in a sauna right afterwards, which we don't actually recommend for the same reasons that Wim does not recommend doing heroin. Seriously. Yeah, but whatever. But if you're open to something similar to heroin, and totally legal, talk to your doctor first, always about everything, then you can do that. You can take an ice bath and jump into a hot sauna. But I don't think you should. Because, first of all, you don't need to be in the ice bath for that long. You don't need to do anything, actually, but you certainly don't need that. I mean, and especially if you're like, haven't done it before and aren't sure, and a cold shower is challenging, which a cold shower is challenging for me too. I live in Florida, and my water's like 75 or 80 degrees, and I'm like, it's cold. I don't know what to tell you. My pool is 80 degrees. It's a little chilly when I jump in. So I have every sense of temperature. It's just, there are times, with temperature in particular and in the water, there's a lot of adaptation stuff that's going on, but so I have a lot of different experiences in the water at different temperatures. But the interesting one here is just that when you're really cold and you then do another type of breathing that I have not yet shown you, but is very common already, which is big deep breath, inhale, and slow as possible exhale. This is actually what I did in the ice bath with Wim for much of the 15 minutes. It actually really helps. So that is what I do. And then you can continue to do it, and it's a lot easier when you are not talking. So just like that. So you may look kind of silly doing some of these things. Okay, so seriously, I did that kind of thing for 15 minutes in Wim's ear. And he will have zero memory of that. Because nobody cares about that stuff. And that it's getting over that. I think most people are very reluctant to sing just spontaneously, or even in a just the right situation, even almost never. See, most people won't do it. I would be the last person to do it as a kid. Forget it. And I'm not sure where I'm at with it now, to be honest with you, because I have had I keep doing things, you know? I get an incredible massage. I just had an incredible massage. I'm gonna give a shout out right now to Alex at All the Card. Incredible massage. Like, things happen in your body, get released. Yoga can do it too. Can do, you know, so music. But movement. And there's Van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps Score. The trauma is in our body, it's in our tissues. You can feel it, you can touch it. You could measure this shit, but it doesn't matter because there's just too much information and never enough to convince anybody to do anything. you just have to think for yourself. That's why I'm always been interested as a therapist in that. I can just ask people, what do you think? What do you think you ought to do? And then really just ask that question sincerely, listening to your body. What does your body tell you to do? What has ever worked? I mean, the ideas are out there. Therapy is not about you come in and I tell you the right thing. So we find it, and it just falls into place. Whether that's a stuck kind of belief or some stuck muscles. It's usually all together. But there's all these different ways to get at it. And so I definitely recommend therapy. With a really good therapist, and I'm not too humble to say that I'm one of them. And any of the physical practices, whatever, and who knows, whatever else, poetry. But you should absolutely tell. You can feel it. You can notice. For all my life, there's tension in my back. On both sides, just a kind of knot, a kind of just those muscles tight, literally all the time. Even until very recent, until I went on the trip. And after the ice bath, warming up, the time that I am the least concerned at all thinking about my shoulders. I'm thinking about, I need to warm myself the fuck up. This is after the 15-minute bath, and about 5 minutes after. And I am nowhere near warm again. And I'm just tired, just mentally tired. Not really physically, but just because we do the horse stance, which this, in and of itself, I have to do it standing because absolutely that's the way it's done, is right here the way you can ensure you never, ever, ever freeze to death. To catch a fire. Jack London. I read that when I was in the 6th grade. It was terrible, it's traumatizing. Trying to light that match. And he freezes to death. Dude, horse stance. Done. And don't get us started on the Titanic, all right? Harder in that situation. Okay, so we've covered a number of topics here. We've broken down the Wim Hof method of breathing. So Wim Hof method refers to the 3 pillars: breathing, cold exposure, and mindset. We've focused primarily on the breathing because that's the one that takes the most discussion and understanding. And everything, it's the most challenging. It's way harder than the ice baths, just because it doesn't take because it takes longer, and you have to do more. The ice bath, just get in there, just get in. It's kind of part of the beauty of it too. It's just anyway, ice bath is great. Does not need to be ice. It can actually just needs to be uncomfortably cold. That's really the key. It takes your breath away. As long as that's happening, you're getting something out of it. And I encourage you just to test it out and to be curious about it. And don't be afraid. This stuff is, don't do it at night. You can, but it's a lot harder. So the earlier in the day you do it, generally, just the better. And you just have more tolerance. But just play with it. Right now, look at me, I'm drenched, I'm sweating, it's hot out here. So to jump in the pool, which I will do, and then jump in the ice bath, which I will also do, just sounds great. Like there's no fear there or anything, and I just stay as long as I want to stay. And I don't know. I have you guys watching, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do much actually. I'm gonna get out of here because you don't need to. It's not important, okay? And it's not a competition. It's just about doing it for yourself, whatever, and figuring what that is. I mean, it's 10 deep breaths, okay? It's 10 deep breaths with a breath hold at the end, okay? And then a retention breath, And if you do one good, solid, you really put yourself into even just one round like that, then, you challenge, you say, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to take 2 minutes and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do big, deep breaths and breath hold, okay? Just that. Which probably won't even take 2 minutes, probably take less than 2 minutes because whatever, all the different things. But breath hold probably won't be that long. Oh gee, I don't know how long it's going to be. If you have any anxiety around the breath hold, like it needs to be, like you're concerned about how long you hold your breath for, then just, okay, talk to your therapist about it. Like seriously, because all of this stuff is silly. All of our hang-ups are silly, ultimately. You don't have to be offended. It's not personal, it's not an attack. It's not even a criticism. It's a criticism to your ego. Your ego says nobody can say anything about you that you should be doing or shouldn't be doing or whatever. Or that you would benefit from, or that you haven't already done. And so, just relax. Take a breath, or 30. Hold that breath at the end. See how long it takes. Being nice and still is another part of this that I didn't explain. So, I have found it makes a tremendous difference. If I'm moving around at all, sometimes I'll do my big deep breaths walking around, or I have done that. And it's fine. I mean, you can do it. But my retention is nothing. There's no comparison. And I just don't think you're getting as much benefit. So I'm more, so I'm interested in how long I can hold my breath after doing the cyclic hyperventilation. But that's the attitude, and again, as you notice as you go along, you say, oh, I can't take big deep breaths. What? Are you okay? Apparently not. If you can't take big deep breaths, you're probably in serious trouble. So, but to have some congestion or some irritation or even cough or some stuff like that, sure, that happens, and kind of would make sense that folks who have that sort of thing going on probably will benefit in that way. It's likely to clear up congestion. It does release adrenaline, norepinephrine, which is noradrenaline, and dopamine, and on and on. So. Take the big deep breaths. Do the retention at the end of it for as long as you can. And when you need to breathe again, you do. Taking one big deep recovery breath, which you then hold. They say 10 to 15 seconds. Sometimes I like to hold it longer. And during that time, you can kind of visualize some things that are going on. You can move the air around in your body cavity, and you can put pressure up towards your brain stem and through your spinal cord into your head, which is what Wim talks about a lot. And you can just wonder about the possibilities.